like I didn't get any suggestions in the chat for a fact to build this bot off, but I did seed a couple random ideas. So Pickles, manufacturing, bed bugs, or Santa. Talk about a random mix there. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel to side and see which kind of bot we're going to build. All right, so let's build a bot around Pickles. So let's go ahead and find a fact on the web that's related to Pickles. So it looks like there's a bunch of them. Let's look at this one, the best made Pickles fact. So the AI does a pretty good job of ingesting a regular website or a Word document and turning it into a bot. So this looks like a good website that's going to ingest perfectly. We have a question on one line and an answer on the other. So let's go ahead and copy this URL. And this is what we're going to use to build a Picklebot. So let's go into Teams and let's look for an app in the App Store called Power Virtual Agents for Teams. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and open this app. And I'm going to create a new chatbot. So here we are in Power Virtual Agents and Teams. I'll go to Chatbots. And I'll go to New Chatbot. And then we'll ingest the pickle fact. One thing to note is that the Power Virtual Agent PVA bots are built within the scope of a team. So I'm going to build this within the Power Platform Sandbox, which is a sandbox, right, where we at Microsoft play with these sort of bots. And I'll click New Chatbot. And we'll need to provide some basic information like the name of the bot and the language. PVA supports 11 languages currently, and we're hoping to see that list grow shortly. Let's call this thing a Picklebot. And we'll stick with English. This will take a second as we create the bot. I don't know if a Picklebot's really useful, but I'll show you a real-world example in a second of something that I think is useful. The goal here is to show you how easy this is and how random we could pick a fact. Is there questions?
I was just filling the air. This is Millen, your partner in crime here. That site works valuable too because that's structured data, right? Having that structured data, it ingests it very easily with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, the AI is really good. I mean, that example we picked for Pickles was a very simple one because it had the question on one line, the answer the other. But other facts that maybe link from a question to an answer, that stuff will ingest as well.
Oh, very good.
So here we are with our new chatbot. And if we look at the topics, right, these are the topics that the bot is smart about, that knows about. There's some sample topics that'll show you basically some training, some lessons. What we're going to do here, though, is we're going to suggest topics. And what we're going to do is we're going to paste in the URL for that pickle fact. And we're going to click Start. So now what's happening on the back end is the AI is going through that web page and it's culling out Q&A pairs, right? We can go back to that page and things like, hey, is dill good in a pickle, right? I'm not sure what the questions are. We can look at that later. As the AI is going through, I'll show you a real world example of this. So the pickle fact may not be that interesting to you, but here's some facts that maybe are. So I'll share this URL for this website. This is called the Adoption Bot. And what these are about 110 Q&A pairs that I've collected in my travels, translated to 41 different languages. So let's go ahead and open the English version. And I'm happy to share this, obviously, this fact with you since it's online. And I'll show you what the Q&A pairs look like, and then I'll show you a bot that I built with this. So again, there's 110 questions that end users might have related to Teams and Office 365, right? What is Teams? Maybe they're switching from Skype and they're lost. They need tips, right? What are apps in Teams and why should I use them? How can I use Planner in Teams? What's the limit for participants in a meeting? You guys get the idea. This is a massive corpus of common questions that end users may have. And what I've done is I've exposed this in Teams as the bot. So let me click on the Adopt Bot and pop this out. So this is the bot that was built based on that fact. And what we can do is ask it like, a common end user might say, hey, I'm switching from Skype, I'm lost. Right? And you can see the bot's going to come back with a quality answer because it ingested those Q&A pairs that I created. Right? So you'll find a lot of things that are familiar, but here's some things that are different. And probably one of the coolest things about PVA is that we can extend this with flows. So I'll show you in a minute, but there's an end of conversation topic. So once the bot comes back with an answer, I'm presenting a couple of Ask an Expert. And what this does is kicks off a Power Automate that posts an adaptive card to a team. So maybe your champions are part of a team. They get a card that says, hey, Matt needs additional help. He's switching from Skype. There's a button on that card with one click they can chat with the user. So here's a more real world example than the Pickles fact that we're building live without a net. But again, the concept's the same. It's incredibly easy to build these and ingest your existing collateral. So let's go back to our Pickles bot in progress. And now we have 26 suggested topics. So the AI went through that and it called these Q&As. And let's look at one of these, right? So are your pickles gluten-free? I'm going to cheat and copy this so we can use it later. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these topics and I'm going to click add to topics. These are just sitting on the side, right? This is what, again, the AI discovered. Now we're pulling them into our main database for our pickle fact. This should take a minute or so, and then what we'll do is we'll turn on each one of these topics, and then immediately we have a bot that's smart about pickles. So I'm not sure how long this took, maybe 10 minutes, but we've created a pickle fact in 10 minutes. So now we have all these topics here. We do need to turn them on one at a time. This is definitely feedback that I've given to the PVA team. They need to make this easier. I'm going to go ahead and turn on most of these. It's almost like a video game trying to click without messing up. Which I just did.
Man.
So hopefully we'll anticipate easier ways to turn on both topics. When you're turning on 110, it's okay, there we go. So we have all these topics now live. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to publish so that these topics are live in the bot. So there we go. We've created a Pickle Bot within 10 minutes, and let's go ahead and open this in Teams. So I'll add the Pickle Bot, and I could start chatting with it. I'll show you how we can customize the greeting if we have time, as well as end a conversation really quick. So let's just ask one of those questions from the pickle fact. Are your pickles gluten-free? Yes, absolutely. We have a written statement. So I think that's incredibly cool, right? We took a technology without having any developer skills. We took existing collateral, right, a pickle fact on the web, and we've turned it into, I don't know if it's an end user care, it's probably a pickle user care, right? Somebody that eats a lot of pickles, maybe a bot that's useful to them. You guys, I'm happy to stop now, or I could go 5 more minutes. How much time do we have?
Looks like we have about 15 minutes left and change.
Okay. Maybe I'll show you guys just really quickly. I'll go back into the PVA bot and I'll show you the flow integration. Let's pop this out. One thing I love is the pop-out app. I don't know if you guys have that in your tenant yet, but it's a great feature, right? So I'll go back into my Pickle Bot, and we'll edit it. And what I'll show you quickly is how we can customize both the greeting and the end of conversation really easily. So those are built-in system topics, right? We added those 22 new topics. But let's look at one of these standard ones, and let's first look at greeting. And we'll author this. So here's the stock greeting that the bot gave us. And as you can see, it wasn't that great, right? It was, hi, I'm your virtual agent. So we could say something like, hi, And then something else that we could do really cool is use variables. So we could use somebody's display name. So hi, whoever's using the bot. Welcome to Picklebot, right? And then maybe we get rid of these. So it's super easy to modify even these built-in system topics. So we want our bot to basically say, hi, Millen, welcome to Picklebot. For the end of conversation, we could get fancier. The default end of conversation puts up some dialogue like, and then you can see it flows to, confirms success or failure. Let's get rid of all this. And let's create a custom end of conversation. What we could do is we could ask the user a question, did this help? And then we could give them options. Or actually, I could say, do you need more help? Sorry. I could type all stuff wrong. So let's say, no, they don't need additional help. And then the bot's just going to go back to, receiving additional questions. Let's say they do need additional help. We could say, ask an expert. And that could be a flow like I showed you my adoption bot, which posts an adaptive card to the team of experts, or maybe we could even say, open a ticket. And this is going to show you the power of flow. So now we have three conditions, right? If it says no, I would link back to the start. I'm just going to do one of these and we say, open a ticket. So I'm going to add a node here, and what I'm going to do is call an action. And this is where I can create a flow. Oops, I should save this conversation tree first, and then I'll add an action. So anybody that's played with Flow, it's incredibly powerful. And the example here is there's a connector for ServiceNow. So if you do use ServiceNow, right in this flow, right, the user says they want to open a ticket in the bot, we can simply add those steps, right? So here's what we'll get for a standard flow template, basically variables that we're going to pass into the flow and variables we might want to return to PVA. But I'll click add an action. And here's where I could search for ServiceNow. So we could create a record in ServiceNow. So I think you get the point that this stuff's incredibly powerful. We created a Picklebot in 10 minutes. Without any coding, we've customized both the greeting, and we're using the power of Power Automate at the end to basically do anything we want, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of different actions and connectors with Flow, right? Notify somebody's manager, write to a spreadsheet, add this to your Jira board. Whatever you guys want to do, I think this Power Virtual Agent technology is incredibly cool. So that concludes the live build demo, and I think I'm a better human now that I have a pickle fac pinned to my left, Pickle Bot pinned to my left rail.